I started using Task View in Windows 11, and it's certainly a lot more functional than it was in Windows 10, but it is a little handier to switch screens and be able to go through um, accessing these programs. So we're going to do a multi-body part. We're going to go the fast way first, and then we'll redo the sketch that we generated previously. So let's switch back over to our SolidWorks. I'm going to open up. And this is making the assumption that you have done the top-down pressure cylinder. And if you haven't, then the second way will be our process. And opening all reference documents if we need it. There shouldn't be anything really referenced that much. So in the envelope, if I Control C, and then, oh, I haven't opened up another part yet, but we need a new metric part. And I pick the plane that I want that sketch to go in on, and Control V, I have all of my geometry from the previous creation. All right, so doing that, the other option would be to go into the sketch. The downside to that is it usually loses the relations and the dimensions. So let's see if we can do that with the layout. And I show the layout. I think there's points in there somewhere. Oh, this one I didn't get too much of the geometry in with the 3D sketch, so we'll bypass that one. Well, yeah, I probably need to go ahead and that one's okay. And then if we go into the layout, was the other sketch, and that one's going to stay 3D sketch. So what I was looking for was the sketch pattern, but I didn't go that route on this one. So all right, let's go back in. We'll edit the sketch. We have the dimensions. If the dimensions are gone, then this would be a good place, and I'm not real fond of, but I'll introduce, is that you can, let's see if I can find it. Nope, not seeing it. All right, so if the dimensions weren't there, we do have an auto dimension, set the datum, have it create these, and they're pretty much to scale. The problem with auto dimension is you end up with a lot of dimensions that you probably don't really need. All right, so we're in the part. This is going to be multi-body. So this is my front profile or envelope or whatever you want to call it. On the top plane, we're going to open up the sketch, and I'll go with the base circle again. And we'll switch that to for construction. I've added the point to my S key, but if you haven't done that yet, then we'll go up to sketch and position. All right, so the dimension of this would be the 75, but if I want to use the base circle and have the circular pattern generate that that radial dimension, I'll leave the dimension off for now. So circular sketch pattern, the radius 37.5, 75 divided by 2. And notice that it shifted the center just a little bit. Right, if we dimension the radius, we have equal spacing. There are 8 of these, 6 of these. All right, we need to go figure out 1, 2, 3. So looks like 8 of those. So task view, not too bad to switch. So we have the 8 and accept. All right, so they didn't quite stay with. but because it put the center line in, it didn't put in that extra point. And so if you end up in a drawing with 9 points, 9 instances of the of our geometry, it's probably going to be because of that circular sketch pattern, adding a point at the center if we don't dimension the radius. And so this is going to be my hole pattern, and we'll give it a little more description for the M8. Alright, everything is basically the same, except we are, as the top down, except I am creating solid bodies. So I'm going to do the convert, and we'll just grab that geometry and sketch key, convert entities. Oops, guess I didn't want to do that. We'll go no window pick, so single pick. And on the S key I have the convert. And to do the first one, we'll do the revolve boss base, axis of revolution, generate off of that line. Okay, the easiest way to manage the multi-bodies is just to hide this. And then go into the front plane, and we'll open up the next sketch. And I want to show you some of the limitations. So let's go ahead and convert, and then L on the keyboard for the line command to close that off. I guess it didn't convert that. Ah, there we go. I was waiting for it to catch up. So it did convert my center line. So limitations of if we do the holes in sequence, then I can create folders for these. If we go through and do them in order, it's a little bit easier to manage. So let's go ahead with the build, and then we'll talk about rearranging items and the parent-child features. All right, so I needed to point out the merge result is not selected when that is hidden. If you're still showing that solid body, then you will need to uncheck merge result. So let's do that with our top. So sketch on the front plane, S key, we'll just go ahead with the rectangle, and we can convert the center line again. Not sure why that's not showing up. And it's giving me the on edge, which is still weird. It's taking a minute to catch up. Okay, so for construction, features, revolve, have it generate, but if I merge the result, this is going to become one body. So when I uncheck it, now I have both bodies, and if I go back and show, now this is also a good time that I have my geometry created. I can go ahead and call it the base. Let's go ahead and give this a little more definition. Pressure cylinder, base, pressure cylinder gasket, and pressure cylinder lid. All right, and the reason I'm naming those up front is we're going to follow some basic rules. I'm not going to suppress. If I need to suppress any of these, I'm going to go with the rollback. The rollback doesn't mess with the names, but if I suppress something, it's going to revert to the last named feature. All right, so if we did a stack up, let's see if we have that available as the advanced hole wizard. I think that is not going to like. Well, it's calling out the feature scope for the bodies. So we're gonna try it. So the first one is a clearance hole and metric, and I really should have tried this before. Working without a net. So for the M8, and it will have a depth of up to next. All right, and let's look at the positions. One near side face to locate, near side and far side faces. So up to next is going to try to go through because we've selected all bodies. All right, so then the next element would again be an M8, normal size up to next element. Okay, it's letting me do that. And that one did up to next. I should have paid attention. Up to next element. That still looks like it went all the way through. So if I wanted to do selections, I could probably get it to terminate at those points. Or we can just go ahead. We know the dimensions. I would rather have it drive with the selections, because if I have to make changes downstream, then we would be picking up those geometries. All right, so first one, 13. That one went up to next element. So it's still showing me a preview. So that one I almost want to just do the up to selection, and we'll see what the difference is. I'm going to hit tab. No, it's not going to let me tab in the middle there. So let's see if I can navigate over to hide one of these. So if I hide the base, all right, now I got to get my screen back. All right, so we're at the 13. Oh, there's the little arrow, so that's nice that I can grab that. So if I do up to selection, then it stops that element there. And then let's pick the next one. And nothing from the far side. Okay, insert, and then we're going to go with the straight tap, and that one's going to be a blind in condition. We said we were going to go about 25 on the depth. All right, so it's blind in condition 1 passed. Need to figure out if that's going to be through all. All right, so the diameter, user-defined value, was 17 millimeters. Still kind of interesting. Want to see that it's going to complete, and it's not giving me the whole depth. So let's go ahead with the position. And I haven't tried this before, so we will see if it produces a mix. Cannot use self-intersecting sketch to define a hole. So with the 13 hidden on the body, let's change that to go through both. So we go through 16, they'll both be the clearance holes. I was trying to separate those out, but I don't think that was what it really needed. And then we go to the depth. That looks like it's picking up the next size, so from that depth down. So the two through should have. Now that one doesn't, so 1 times the diameter. User-defined value of 17. Doesn't look like it's giving me, still doesn't look like it's giving me the whole depth. So if I was going to do that, put in the 25 so that I have plenty of clearance. And let's see if that generates it. So let's show the base. Alright, so it took a little bit to figure that out, but it's not too terrible. And we now have a combination of all of those. We need the M24 by 3, so go into the whole wizard, S key, whole wizard. And we're in metric, bottom tapped hole. Find my M24 by 3. Up to next, this would be where we would want to go with the selected bodies, and I'll just make sure that I'm only picking the base by turning off the auto select. All right, and then the last one will be the cosmetic thread, so insert annotations, cosmetic thread, or we'd come up to the search on the commands and find the cosmetic thread. It found my M24 by 3. I don't want to show the type. Go ahead and save it. All right, so this is going to be assignment 7, but I have previous parts. So I think to be safe, I'm going to go ahead with Multibody. And then the name of this will be pressure cylinder. I don't know if I put I think I put the designation up front. And that one. All right, so have the name. And sort of like the assembly, once I name this, I really don't want to change it. So pick wisely. Hide the sketch to clean those up. We're not in assembly, so I can't use the toolbox to add the threads yet. So I want to save bodies. If we're doing one at a time or just a few, to extract these out of the part into separate parts or into their own connected associated parts, I would use insert into new. Typically I'm just going to do the save bodies, and was previously set to ask me in the options which template I wanted to use rather than the default templates. So if you haven't done that, we'll review that real quick. When I pick these, or I select all of them, then my names come up. I do not want to consume. If we set for propagate visual properties, it'll hand those off to the derived parts, to the parts, create new assembly. And so this is going to be the pressure cylinder assembly. And we can save that. Override the default templates, assembly templates. All right, so what this is going to do is it's going to extract the parts, and we'll stay with the part metric. And we'll change base units. And just double quick, make sure I didn't copy this into an inch. All right, so again, if I do the save bodies, then the naming everything stays. If I suppress one of these, then we would go that route. So the other option was that on the front profile or our side, we would just draw that sketch like we did previously. So what that did then is we have the assembly, and they're fixed components. We don't want to unfix those and try and move those around. Now we have most all of the functionality. There are some minor issues in previous versions with the threads kind of going wonky, so I was interested to see if there was going to be any issues there. Since we're in the assembly now, we can activate the toolbox and go find our M8 hex heads, and we need one of the standard screws. So it said that this was by 30. Oh no, the M8's fine. I just need to change the length. So by 30, and we accept the first one, and then we can go pick all locations. If I wanted a washer, I would need to put the washer in first, and then we can just X out of it. Next step is to create our exploded view, and I'm just going to say make it a habit to create the exploded view based on the auto spacing last time. I'm just going to go ahead and do these individually. So not sure why I'm getting pressure. Yeah, it's going in the Y direction. So 25. And not seeing it update. So I don't know if that's video or if I'm actually getting a lag there. All right, so add step. Yeah, that might be something something different. So let's go make that about 100 and done. And then the next will be the lid. And that can be 50 and done. And then the gasket. And I'll just go 25. Done. All right, so good practice. You'll probably end up using it in the drawing. We will do the drawing mix as an option after, just to be able to manage these and review. Oh yeah, and I did say, and we're in the assembly, so I'm going to hide the origins. Did say under the options, real quick, we'll go to the default templates, prompt user to select document template. And then that way, if I'm in inch, I'll be selecting an inch template. If I'm in metric, I'll be selecting my metric templates and be able to manage those geometries.